it says an analogy to a Yisrael and a Kohen shenichbu. Nimsar Reifei Mumcha. They found a doctor, a Reifei, an ex-Mumcha, an expert. V'haya Mitzabe es Yisrael umoniach es HaKohen. Oh, he gave the Kohen healed, dealt with the Yisrael and not the Kohen. And what did he tell them? Amar lo HaKohen. Mipnei ma ata mitzabe Yisrael ve'ata menichani, and you leave me alone. What did he tell them? He told them not to go. He told Israel, he dealt with the Jew, and umeniach as a Kohen. He didn't deal with the Kohen. Amalo HaKohen. Because the Kohen asked him, why aren't you dealing with me? Ma ata mitzabe es Yisrael, ata manichani, you leave me alone. Amalo ze Yisrael hu. V'darko lahalech ben hakvaros. He told him, he goes amongst the cemeteries. He goes to cemeteries. He goes where dead people are. Avalata Kohen, you're a Kohen. Ve'ein darkecha la'aloich ben hakvaros. You don't go amongst graves. And the pichach ani mitzabe es Yisrael. And that's why I command him, don't go amongst the cemetery, the graves that would brought on their sickness. Umanichacha, and I leave you alone. So the Midrash says, Kach elyonim she'ein yetzer hara matzui bahem. The angels, the above ones, who don't have a Yetzer Hara, they have no Yetzer Hara. It's not to be found amongst them. Amira achas ilahem. They're only told one statement. Bigzeres Irin Pisgama Umaimer Kadishin She'alosa. They're only given in Daniel that they have to stay away from Tumah. Abal Tachtainim Sheyesh Behem Yetzer Hara. The lower people, the creatures of the physical world, sheyesh b'hem Yetzer Hara, halavai shtei amiros yomra yamdu. Halavai, two statements, don't do it. Don't be mitama. Adahu dichsi vayema Hashem el Moshe Emor el hakohanim b'rei Aaron. And says Martha, and it's tell him again. So The above angels only have to be told once because they don't have a Yetzer Hara. But here he says the Kohanim here, they have to be told twice. And he says here, Halavai, too. Commandments they will suffice. And the next one is another what Emor El Kohanim, telling Moshe, say to the Kohanim, and it says right after Ba'amartalem, you'll tell them this. Hador hu dichsiv is a pasuk in Tehillim. Yiras Hashem Tahira. The fear of God is pure. Omer Eswad. It stands forever. And so Rabbi Levi says, Miyira Shenishade Anain, from the tremendous fear that he had of God. And let's use the word also, let's use the word reverence. Milifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the tremendous, because he felt the presence and Zocha, he merited the Nitnu Lo HaParsha Hazu. He was given this parsha of Emor. She'eino Zaza Mimeno. It will be with him forever, that they cannot be Mitama. Below Mibanav, not from him and not from his descendants. Below Midnei Banav, and not from the children of his children. Ad Shaiv Kol Hadaris, till the end of time. Ve'ezezu, Parshas Hames. This parsha, Shemar Ba'ema Hashem al Moshe Emor El HaKohanim B'nei Aaron. And this parsha deals with who regular Kohanim can be looking for the good word, made impure. I don't like, say contaminated. And purity is not something we can understand. It's a spiritual thing. A woman's, but she is a menstruant, so she becomes impure. I don't like. I'd rather use the word ineligible when she's in her period of menstrual period. She's ineligible, and to have intimate relations with her husband. Similarly, with a coin is in touch with a dead person, he's ineligible to do the service in the Beis Hamikdash. You have to go to the mikveh first. Have the ashes of the red heifer sprinkled on you when there was the Beis Hamikdash and the 9 red heifers have been brought since the mitzvah was inaugurated in the Chumash. So it's Chukas HaTorah. And the 10th one will be in the time of the coming of Mashiach. when all the Jews will have to be sprinkled by that in order to go up to the place where the Beis HaMikdash was. And the one who will build the Beis HaMikdash is Mashiach, because he's an ex-Navi, and only a Navi can build the Beis HaMikdash, because he knows exactly where everything has to go. Now, there's the Midrash Zion asked the question, Ma'aksiv l'mayla min inyan. What is the pasuk right before this that ends the previous parsha? It's V'ish o isha ki Abraham ob ogidoni. If a man or a woman practice sorcery of oyedoni, that's a certain type of magic that Jews are not supposed to practice, sorcery, and bringing up souls. And, just like God created the side of Tahara, purity, he also created a source of impurity. And that's all the things that amongst Bilam, there was God created for the Jews the greatest prophet, the greatest one intimate with the God Almighty, Moshe Rabbeinu. The pasuk that says, "Will come be Israel, ish k'Moshe," that never arise amongst any of Israel. Nobody knew God like Moshe. It doesn't say lo come. No, nobody ever arose like Moshe. It says lo come be Israel amongst the Jewish people. Nobody arose like Moshe. But by the non-Jews there was one. In the side of Tumah there was one. Uman who? Bilam. Bilam had knowledge of God, and he could speak to God. God would speak to him, as we see in the Parsha of Bilam. But what did Moshe accomplish? What did Bilam accomplish? And in the end, Bilam was killed when he gave the bad counsel. And he wanted to curse the Jews, but he had to bless them. And he came up with the idea that if you get them, he told Balak, if you get them to sin, their God hates promiscuity. Get them to be promiscuous, and you'll be able to get them to fall. And sadly, you know the story. We'll soon be reading it, where the maidens of Midian, who was in concert with Moloch, they tempted the Jewish males. They had made a market, and the Jews went there, and they went in. The market was on the outside of the tents, and then they went inside the tents to look for more stuff and more items to buy. And there they were tempted by the maidens, and really tempted big time. And they wanted to be intimate with the Jewish maidens, with the non-Jewish maidens, with the Midianite maidens. And he said, you know, let's get together, a Jewish man would say. And she said, not until you serve this idol. And she pulled out an idol from her dress. And the man had to bow to it before he had intimate relations with her. And unfortunately, 24,000 Jews lost their life. Hey, when Bilam was up in the mountains with Moloch, God thwarted their every move until Bilam had to bless the Jews. And so the Jews were saved from the curses. But when Bilam came with the idea, you want to get them to perform promiscuity. God hates promiscuity. And that's how you can get them. And they got them. 24,000 of them were killed in a plague sent from heaven. And but Bilam got his just desserts. He was killed when he came to get his reward from Balak. And he had powers of magic, and he could fly. And he had his cohorts, they're flying like, you know, but the chiefs that the Kohen Gadol wore had the name of God on that, Kodesh Hashem. And Aaron HaKohen picked his head up and showed the tits. And that's like, you know, like what do they call it? Downs. It shot him down. Just the same Hashem radiated to Bilam, and he crashed. He fell on all the others of the slain Midianites. So, so there was this. We don't see it today. Thing, you know, it was eliminated. Still, a Jew is not allowed to go to a cycle, to a crystal ball place, you know. Go to Lahavdil, you go to a Rebbe, to a big Talmud Chacham for advice and brachas. But in the parsha, right before this parsha, it says, "V'ish o isha ki bohem o yidoni." Those were two impure cult procedures, one called Ov and one called Yedoni. And there was an incident that Shaul, the king of Israel, went to see one of these witches, who practiced this and who told the future. And it's a very interesting story. And this was when, Shaul, he lost his kingdom because he didn't follow, he didn't kill out the whole Amalek. He let the animals be saved for, he said, and he meant for sacrifice. Why should we waste them? But God told him to waste them, to kill them, all the animals. And he spared the life of the king of Agag. And so he was supposed to empty the world of Amalek, and he didn't do it. And he pinned it on his people, and he wanted to, Saul originally didn't want the kingdom. Shmuel convinced him that God had chosen him to be the first king. That was the case. And so it says that this, in our scriptural passage, that is in the passage in the previous Parsha, Kedoshim, and that this is the previous passage to Emor El HaKohanim. The previous passage is about this, that you're not allowed to have a male or female, not allowed to practice this cult practices, these magic, impure practices that Jews are not allowed to monkey with. And so he got rid of that. One of the first things he did was get rid of all the cultists, the crystal balls. And but when he had one big sin against him, and was not necessarily a sin because it's very interesting, the story there, that David, when he parted from his best friend, King Saul's son, Jonathan, and Jonathan tested his father if his hate was, hate and anger against David, because he felt that David was trying to take his kingdom. And David was chosen by God to be the Saul wasn't from the tribe of Judah. David was. But because the Jews asked Shmuel to give them a king, like all the other nations, they didn't ask in a correct way. And so the beginning of the kingdom of Israel was Saul. Now, Saul is considered one of the greatest tzaddikim. There are 15 neshamas that are considered the greatest that ever lived. 7 are called shepherds, and the 8 are called Nesichei Odom, the princes of men. And David is from the Roim, and Shaul is from the Nesichei Odom. So he was no, small kid. I mean, he was great. Yet, and he didn't want to become king, but Samuel put it on him. He was chosen to be the initiator of the kingdom. But the kingship, royalty would go to David. And the difference between Shaul and David was that Shaul went after reason, and David was higher than reason. Shaul didn't think God's demand that they should take all the cattle, beautiful cattle, and waste them. Why not give them to God? But Shmuel tells him that God didn't ask you for korbanos, to take the thousands of beautiful bullocks and sheep and all that. God told you to destroy everything in Amalek. And the classic statement that Shaul is told by Shmuel, Halo shamoa mizevach tov. Listening is better than an offering. Listening, following orders. And there was an instance that Shaul killed out 82 Kohanim in the city of Iraq Kohanim, because he was told that this city helped out King David when he came there. And interesting, why did he go to the Mishkan in Nob? Because he was hungry. And the Talmud says an amazing thing. The Talmud says that if Jonathan, in the dramatic Haftorah there, where they parted, and they say God will be between us forever. But one thing that Jonathan overlooked, he overlooked giving him some sandwiches. When David was starving, he went in the fields, he didn't have anything to eat. And he went to the temple to get something, to the Mishkan to get something to eat. And the only thing that they had there, they didn't have no freezers with food, but they had the lechem hapanim. And to save his life, they gave him some of the lechem hapanim. So they fed David. If David would have had, and what the Midrash, what the Talmud says, ilmole, if only Nasan, Yonasan, snake kikos lechem. If only Jonathan would have given David 2 loaves of bread, the city of Nob wouldn't have been destroyed. And they give a whole list of things, negative, sad things that happened, because David went to the Mishkan. That's the only place you could find. But there were no restaurants on the way, and the only place you could figure they could find food was in the Mishkan. And so the Kohanim gave him, to save his life. He was starving. So we learned from that a very important thing, that when a person leaves your presence, your home, and you give them a long food. And that we learned from this incident. But Shaul was a great man, but he had he didn't kill Amalek. He did kill he had Rachmanis there, but he didn't have and it says when somebody has Rachmanis in the wrong place, he won't have Rachmanis in the right place. Where was Rachmanis when it came to they were his enemies? They sided with King David. It really wasn't that. So anyway, this was in a war with the Philistines, and he wanted to, the Philistines were getting the upper hand, and he wanted to know, and God wouldn't answer him when he, the Cohen wears the Urim Betumim, the breastplate, and they have the name of name of God, which you don't say. Oh, and that's where a king is supposed to ask, but God didn't answer him. He wouldn't go to the Kohanim because he had this whole run-in with them that they were siding with David. And though he was the one that killed out, got rid of all the crystal ball people, the head readers, the card readers, whatever the junk, that but they have a mystical. There is such a thing. Jews aren't allowed to practice it or go to them. We had a story here that there was a woman, a Jewish woman from India, and she was possessed by a demon, and she came here to. She was in Minnesota, so. And she would wake up in the middle of the night and disturb the whole family and scream and shriek. She was possessed by a demon. There is such a thing. And so there were holy men could get the demons out. Like what do you call it? Excoriate the demons from a person. And so, so they looked at any mystics in the Twin Cities, and of course, what the people think, there are two mystics, Friedman and Feller. And they sent their family to us. Now, what is it called? There's the process of getting demons out of people's minds, and that's making them crazy. Demons are called shadim, and stories that Chofetz Chaim excoriated demons from somebody's mind. But we know them as much as anybody. We didn't nothing about how you rid people of demons, exorcise. So we wrote to we wrote to the Rebbe. What do we do with this woman? Is the whole family suffers from the fact that she gets up in the middle of the night and screaming, and the demon is bugging her, and she screams and fears it. And what did she do? So the Rebbe, we gave her a Jewish name and her mother's Jewish name, and the Rebbe answered us 2 words: kashrus ha'achila. She should eat kosher. And that will. So we went and we kashered her house and we showed her everything. She could only buy in the store something that has emblem, the OU or the OK, and kosher meat. We could give her, and we made her house kosher, and sure enough, in even Chol Yisrael, we started that she had to go far to get it, but it worked. The Rebbe gave this thing, but she started to eat kosher, and the divuk, the spirit, the shadim, left her. But then after a couple of months, she came back, and she didn't want to come to us. So she went to a spook. She went to one of these crystal ball hand readers, and you see that they have it's from the other side, the side of but a side of Tomei. But this reader said, she looked at her and she said, "Why do you come to me?" And she says, "You've gone to a holy man. I see him in front of me. He has a white beard, and he told you to do something. And why didn't you listen to him? He told you should keep kosher." She says, "Well, we did, except one thing. We couldn't get the kosher milk, so we bought regular milk. Now you can get it. You can get it in the kosher spots. You can get it in different places here. But at that time, it wasn't so prevalent. And it wasn't so easy to get a hold of. You might even have to go to the farm and get, has to be milk that was milked by or at least supervised the milking by a Jew. Because there was a thing that farmers used to add milk from non-kosher animals, horse milk, mule milk, whatever, pig milk. And so there's such a thing called Chalav Yisrael, Jewish milk. So she said we couldn't get a hold of the kosher milk. We got her some to begin with, but she couldn't. It spoiled. So the crystal ball reader, he said, "Why don't you get a freezer and put the milk in a freezer?" So the spook is giving a way to keep kosher to this. But anyway, it's interesting to see that she said a very interesting thing. She said, "I see this holy man, the Rebbe, She didn't call him. She didn't. I see this holy man," and she says, "He doesn't need this world. The world needs him. He's here for others. He doesn't need to be here himself. And he's here to help humanity." And she's saying this to spook. And I remember all the details, I would write an article about this. But anyway, but there, he wanted to know, Shaul, what's going to be. And there's a whole section here that deals with him. And the Midrash says that which it says in the scripture right before this pasuk, Emor El Kohanim, which is the name of our parsha this week. It says, Ish or Isha Kiya Behem O Yidoni. That's not permittable, and it says there, that they will lose their life because of it. They practice that. So Rabbi Yeshua Dishkin and Omar B'Shem Rabbi Levi B'ish Zesha'u. That is prophesizing that the man will have use the Udoni Isha'u B'ish Zu Eshes Ba'alas Oib. She was a sorcerer. And Rabbi Levi B'Shem Rabbi Levi says, and this he wanted her to bring up Shaul's mentor, whether he was not in the world, Shmuel, Hanavi. He's the one who made him king, and he wanted her to bring him out, bring him out of the level of Olam Haba where he was, and bring him so he could communicate with him. And she says to Shaul, she tells him, you killed out all the sorcerers, and now you're coming to me, you're going to kill me. Somehow she escaped to the elimination of all sorceresses. So he swore to her, Bayomer, Chai Hashem im yikrech abon b'davrazeh. I swear to God, Chai Hashem, that nothing will happen to you from telling me, from doing your job. Even though I saw to it that the others were eliminated, I want you to help me. And he who got rid of this whole sorcerer business from Israel, now is coming to one who had the power, obviously, to bring up Shmuel from the holy place where he was, but Shmuel wasn't happy with it. But he does give him the information that he needs, that he wants to know what's going to be. And he told to her, Bayomer Shmuel Hali Li, bring me up Shmuel, the prophet. Shmuel died a natural death. I mean, Shaul had reverence for him, and he was his mentor. He cried bitterly when Shmuel, when Shaul didn't kill Amalek. He also he did another thing when they first met. He first became king, and he said, "I'll come to you and meet you in 7 days, and I will offer the offering the korban." And he didn't come the first part of the 7th day, and the middle of the day, and Shmuel never came. It was already the 7th day, and his legions were leaving him because they saw the enemy were approaching, and he wasn't doing anything. They couldn't attack the Philistines until the korban was brought, and so it was getting late, and so Saul brought the korban by himself, and just then Shmuel arrives, and and he had not listened. I was illogical to listen, but there was the same thing what happened with David, and David listened. That was the difference between them. David listened to what the prophet said. God told him he was to fight a battle with the Philistines, and I'm not sure it was the Philistines, but he was told by God through the prophet Shmuel not to enter the battle until he heard hoofbeats on the trees, marching on the trees, hoofbeats. And the enemy was coming closer and closer. And the generals wanted to, David, let us go. We have to fight them now. It's getting in. No, I was told not to enter the battle until I hear marching on the mulberry trees. And he wouldn't let us, and they were getting closer and closer, and some of the men left them because this was not normal. But David was saying we can't attack them till we hear marching on top of the mulberry trees. And just at the moment where it seems that the enemy was the closest, and they heard the marching, and David took out after the enemy, and he slaughtered him, the enemy. But David waited. Saul didn't wait. He couldn't wait to fight the enemy until the korban was offered by Samuel, and he did it instead of Samuel, and Samuel came and said, "This is going to cost you your kingdom." Anyway, the Midrash said Shaul went after reason. David was above reason, in the will of God, That's what I told President Reagan when I gave my sermon in the Oval Office. Were the yarmulke. The yarmulke is reverence for God. Put something above his vessel of reason, the brain, because to the rest of the world, everything stands or falls by virtue. Do I understand it? Hey, we people are the Jewish people are the people of the book. One thing stands above our reason and stands, and that's the infinite wisdom of God. And that's why we wear the yarmulke is from two words, Yira Be'eloka, reverence for God. And so Saul, unfortunately, he was great, but he reason held sway with him more than faith. So B'Tomer Ha'isha es mi elaloch. Who should I bring up for you? And he answered her, Vayomer es Shmuel Halili, bring me up from the other world. Bring me up Shmuel. This has happened, that dreams, that knowledge is passed over, information is passed over in dreams. The tzaddik comes to somebody in a dream and tells him what he should know. This has happened many. That he's sleeping, said Krishna before, learned Torah before, and that happens. But not this, but bringing up through a crystal ball, bringing up the spirit of a deceased. So it says that the woman, Batera Isha es Shmuel, she saw him. Batizak Bekol Godol, she screamed with a very big scream. Kiminayin Hoisha Yodas who show Lo Kishem Sha'oila Lehedjot Hu Oila Lamelech. How did she know that this was Shmuel? Ella Lo Kishem Sha'oila Lehedjot Hu Oila Lamelech. Somebody comes up to a king different than he would come up to somebody else. Lehedjot Oila Panav Lamata. To a hedger, to a plain person, he comes with his face down. Lamelech Panav Lamaylo. When he comes up to, he's brought up to see a melech, go with a melech. And that's how she knew that the one who was that his face was up. That she both knew that it was Shaul who was asking her because the Shmuel came with his face up. And so she made her incantations. And I'm reading certain lines. Vayomra Allah, Ma Torah. What is the description? What is the how does he look? The one that you bring. Hello, hi, Abemakirle. She didn't recognize him. And so now the Midrash comes out and says, Elagimul Dvarim Nemro B'mi Shemaila Mace Biskura. There are three characteristics in this business of bringing up a dead person. Giving you some insight into the occult. Hamalehu, the one who brings the dead person up, Shomea Kolo, Re'eu, he sees him, or she sees him, Ve'enu Shomea Kolo, she can't hear him. Nishatzarich Lo, the one who needs to hear from the dead person, Shomea Kolo, Ve'eno Ro'eu. Here, the one who needs to get the information can hear him, what he tells him, but he doesn't see him. And Misha Aino Tzarich Lo, one who's not involved in this whole thing, doesn't need to see him or hear from him, doesn't need him. Lo Shomea below Ro'ehu. He doesn't hear him, he doesn't see him. Because Isha Sheheles Shmuel, the woman who, with her incantations, brought up the soul of Shmuel. Ross also, she did see him, but below Shama Kolo, she didn't hear him. Sha'u, Sha'itzarich Lo, Sha'u, who needed to see, needed the information, needed to communicate with him. He was going to ask him what's going to be. So again, the one who brings up the magician or the sorceress who brings up the soul can see him but can't hear him. The one who needs him can hear him but can't see him. And the ones who don't need him can't hear him or can't see him.
Rabbi, would you repeat the question, please?
the thing is that we're in the process of bringing up the soul. So they're telling us, the Midrash is telling us some information of this occult activity, the occult activity of bringing up a soul from the other world. So the one, the sorceress, we said that just like in Kedusha, there's a power to do this by a holy person. In the occult, there is also this power. So the one that brings up the soul can see it, but can't hear it. The one who needs the information can hear it, but not see it. And those that don't, they're just there, don't hear and don't see. And so we asked her, what do you see? He couldn't see, he could only hear. But Tomer, she said, Izakein Ola Behu Ota Me'il. I see an old man ascending, coming up, and he's wearing a cloak. Al Shum Ume'il Cotton Tassel Imo. It said that his mother made him, Chana was Shmuel's mother. She made him a cloak. And obviously it grew with him. Vayomer Shmuel el Shaul. Lama Higastani. Lahalois Oisi. Why did you trouble me? Shmuel said to Shaul, why did you trouble me to bring me up? And so now the Midrash interjects, it's very important. Rabbi Huda Nasi, Habe Pashat Kariyaya, he was bringing these psukim, Bekach Habe Moti La'adein Psikaya. This is in the Sefer Shmuel, and when he came to these what Shmuel said, Lama Gastoni. See, we don't know clearly what Gastoni means. Why he troubled him. When Rebbe came to this pasuk of what Shmuel said to Shaul, Lama Gastoni, why did you trouble me? Ave Bachi, Rebbe would cry when he came to this. And then they bring a bunch of psuchim that said that a person, everything a person ever said is recorded, right? Quote unquote, and they say it over to him. I want to get to a certain place here, but we'll see. Why did Rabbi cry? But Shmuel, so this pasuk is Shmuel Aleph, Kof, Ches, Shmuel, Vayemer Shmuel El Shaul. Shmuel, he's not in this, physically in this world, and he came up to the incantation of the sorceress. Vayomer Shmuel El Shaul Lama Higastani. Why did you trouble me? La Lososi, to bring me up. You know, I'm in a state of bliss in the next world, and you let me through these incantations to come and give you information. And so I'm reading just special sentences here. The whole thing you could, if you get a Midrash, you could read the whole story. It's fascinating. But he another translation of Lama Hizgartani. Why did you frighten me? Because he thought that he's being brought up is because it's the Yom Adin, the great day of judgment. And so he was frightened, and because he felt he's going to be judged by God. Barei advorim kal v'chomer. And this is important. This is something that you learn from the light to the heavy, a fortiori argument. It's a kal v'chomer. It's one of the ways that you learn out in Torah. Shmuel, so Shmuel is saying to Shaul, why did you frighten me, to move me, to come up? And the unfortunately say it said that he was frightened because he thought it was the day of judgment. Shmuel was frightened. Uma Shmuel. But yet he was frightened. Shmuel. Shekosu bo, it says by him. Vayeda kol Yisrael. Midon v'ad Beersheba. All of Israel knew from Dan until Beersheba. Ki Nemon Shmuel Navi. Shmuel can be trusted as a prophet. La Hashem, a prophet to God. And al yedei shahaya sover shehu madin, when he thought that he's going to be faced with judgment. Shmuel was called that he was believed to be a prophet of God. He was frightened. Anah. This is why Rebbe cried. Allah should we be frightened from the day of judgment. So Shaul said to Shmuel, Tzar me meod, I'm very distressed. Why wasn't he asked the question, B'lomalo amalo b'urim b'tumim? Why didn't he get the answer from the Kohen Gadol? Shaul, that's the way the Jews asked. A king asked by the Kohen Gadol, who was wearing the Urim Tumim, the breastplate with the colored diamonds and the whole olive base. The names were engraved in the stones, and there is a parchment with God's name in the Urim Tumim, and it had a fold, and this was the holy way to ask, and the Urim Tumim lit up the letters to give the answer to what the king needed or wanted. So God didn't answer him through the Urim and Tumim. Why? Because you caught it yourself. Lo atahu shehevis no ira kohanim. Aren't you the one that killed out 82 high kohanim? And so he wasn't answered by the Urim Turim. And so I brought you up through this woman to ask you, what should I do? Because the battle was imminent, and should I fight this battle? What should I do? What's going to be? Vayomer Shmuel, V'lama tishalun leini. Why do you ask me? Amar lei. Li gabe shanach chida lei gabe arech. Vayash Hashem lo kasher diber bi yodei. Vayitna l'reyacha l'David. He said that you're going to kasher diber biyodi. God is going to take away your kingdom. V'yitna l'reyacha, is going to give it to your reyacha. your neighbor, your friend, David. And now he tells him who's going to, that the kingdom is going to be taken away from you tomorrow. Amalei veles mila kadmaisa the habis amali kad habis gabi habis amar minisana l'reacha atoy mimcha. When and so Shaul told him, "You're speaking to me differently than you spoke to me when I brought that carbon. I thought that you wouldn't come, and you told me that God would take away the kingdom from me because I didn't listen." And he'll give it to your friend, to another Jew, who was better than you. But he didn't tell him who. He said, "Why didn't you tell me then to who he was going to give it?" And he said, "Then you didn't tell me. Now you're telling me. Kedain at Omar Hayeda li gabe sinach Hayeda li gabe arach Omar God, now you're telling me exactly who it's going to be. You didn't tell me then when I didn't listen to you because the enemy was coming close and the time was running out and it was already the end of the 7 days and you came the last minute. So why are you telling me now who it is? And it's David. So he said, listen to God Habina Gaboch. When I was with you, Shmuel said, when I was in the world with you together, I was with you in the world, which in this world, Olam is called Olam HaSheker, the world of falsehood. And the world to come is called Alma Dikshait, the world of truth. So in the world of falsehood, I didn't tell you who it is. Davina Dochel Minach, I was afraid of you. That you wouldn't kill me. Now is I'm talking to you from the world of truth. Less at Shmaya Mini Ella Milin Dikshot. Now you'll hear it from this world. I can only tell you the truth. Lo chilam asalecha HaKadosh Baruch Hu zeh. Not for naught did God do all this to you, and that you're now in a terrible position. Ela kasher lo shamaita b'kol Hashem. You didn't listen to God. Below asisa charona po ba'amalek. You didn't do what God wanted done. You didn't carry out the wrath of God on Amalek, which said to destroy all of them. people and animals. And you saved animals and you saved one person. That one person was Agog, the Melech. He was such a beautiful specimen, the king. And he left him alive one night. And one night perpetuated the Amalekites. That one night that he was left alive, he lived with he was an Amalekite, and he lived with an Amalekite, with a woman, and perpetuated and from that, and Haman came from that. Um, and so the lo asisa charein apoy ba'amalek. You didn't fulfill God's wrath on the Amalek. Mochotimcha zecher Amalek, but to wipe them out. And so he asked him, and he tells him what's going to be the outcome. You want to know what's going to happen. Vayishen Hashem gam es Yisrael imcha. God will give Israel and you, biyat plishtim, into the hands of the plishtim. That because you didn't listen to God. Killed out 82 Kohanim in no Irakladi. Amalei ve'ein mi'arek. There's no way I can get out of this. Amar in Arakta at Mississippi. You could be saved by what you want to run away and not go into battle with them and let the people go. You could be saved. But this is what God has decreed. If you accept it upon yourself, tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. What does it mean with me? Mahu imi. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, imi b'mishitzasi. Hey, if you are makabel, what God has decreed for you, that you should die in the battle, and with Israel and your sons as well, then you will right away tomorrow. You will be with me in my portals, and you can imagine that Samuel was in the highest portals, in the highest levels of Gan Eden. So if you accept that, then you will be imi bimchitzosi, with me in my station, in my level, together with me. Hey, that was a pretty. That's what he did. it's almost 12. Okay, I'll just we'll meet again next week at this time. I just want to tell you one story, a Rebbe story that I who's on?
I would love to hear a Rebbe story.
Okay, I'll tell you a story.
We're on for you, Rabbi Feller.
Okay, is Berkey on?
He might be asleep.
Mordechai from Florida is not on either. But Dr. Sher's on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, and Jonathan and Joel
Yeah.
and Mike Lifshitz, are you on?
He's muted right now.
Okay, anyway, I'll tell you this story. I read it in a book about Rabbi Yitzchak Grossman, who built up a big settlement for kids, at-risk kids. He's a tremendous guy. Partial relative of my wife, Laura Shalom, through marriages. Anyway, so he traveled and he was a Lubavitcher. I mean, he came to Lubavitch Rebbe, and he had a whole mess from the Rebbe that his daughter had a terrible ear problem, and the Rebbe said they should check the mezuzah in her in her room and her home, and at the dormitory in Svat. She went to a Lubavitcher girls' school, and in her room, the mezuzah was puzzled. They went and they fixed that, and she right away recovered. But this is not that story. This is a story that the Rebbe was at the Ohel. That means at his father-in-law's resting place, and he would go there often. And he would have one secretary with him, the one who drove him. And that time it was Rabbi Klein, Oliver Solo. And in the middle of reading the notes that the Rebbe would read at the cemetery by the grave of his father-in-law, he suddenly was when this Rabbi Grossman he lived in Israel, but he came here to raise funds. And somehow the Rebbe knew that he was here. And the Rebbe told Rabbi Klein that he should tell this Rabbi Grossman, find out where he is, call him, and tell him that I would like for him to visit a certain prisoner in Sing Sing prison. That's that's in New York. Sing Sing, that's a famous prison, and not easy to get in, but the Rebbe said, they got a hold of this Rabbi Grossman, and he was the president of the Agudas Israel, who had some influence there, and then got Moshe Feller, that he got him in, and he went. The Rebbe told him he went to Sing Sing prison, and he met this. There was a well-known doctor who was in prison there, and he found the prisoner, and he told him that the Lubavitcher Rebbe told me to visit, and he was really taken by that. And he said they talked, and he told him why he was there. He was a doctor, and the details aren't given, but he gave a prescription to somebody that killed that somebody. And I don't know what the details were, but it landed him in prison with a life sentence. And he was so depressed. He had no future. He was a well-known doctor, and now he's sitting in prison, and he has no life here. And he decided that he's going to take his own life here. And this was the day that he was going to take his life. And the Rebbe, on this day, sent this Rabbi Grossman, who was a very, very kind and giving person. And they established a relationship. And of course, it prevented him from taking his life. He had a purpose now. He had a friend that he could communicate with. And that's what happened. And the Rabbi Grossman communicate with him, but he didn't take his life because the Lubavitcher Rebbe saw that that's what he wanted to do. The Lubavitcher Rebbe on the oil, and he knew that Rabbi Grossman was the kind of person who could win over people. And he told him to go and see this prisoner, a Jewish prisoner in Sing Sing, and that saved his life. And the one who writes this book is Rabbi Nachum Seltzer, who's a great writer, but he was very taken by this story out of the Rebbe's vision and see what's going on in the whole world and by everybody. Anyhow, we'll be coming. We're about 2 months away from a very milestone yahrzeit. The Rebbe's 30th yahrzeit is coming up on Gimel Thomas, which will be July the 9th. And we'll have all kinds of ways of commemorating it. Meanwhile, let me wish you all a good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, Rabbi.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Yeah. And we'll see each other, Mitzvah Shem, next week. So it'll be in Jerusalem.
We meet what time of the meeting, Rabbi?
Huh?
What time should we meet next Thursday?
I know I barely made it, but I can't make it later than 9:30. But we'll meet 9:30, just like today.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Be well.
Well, to be well.
And a good Shabbos.